Hello everyone, I'm the SJBIT, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of PC SJBIT. In this lecture, we'll be discussing about computer organization and architecture.
So what is read-only memory? In short form, it is known as ROM. So what is the disadvantage compared to the static RAM or the static dynamic RAMs? So SRAM and SDRAM chips are volatile. So the volatile means we can read as well as we can write the data in the particular memory cell. So what is the disadvantage in case of SRAM and SDRAM? Lose the content of the content stored in the memory cell when the power is going to be turned off. So this is a disadvantage. That's why the configuration it is known as the volatile, because it is going to lose the content when the power is turned off. So many applications need memory devices to retain the content after the power is turned off. So that is what the memory concept. Even the power is turned off, the content should be remain same. For example, the computer is turned on, the operating system must be loaded from the disk into the memory. Whatever the stored, the stored in the main memory content should be moved to the disk, so that it is going to retain the contents whenever the computer is going to be turned off. Store instructions which would load the OS operating system from the disk. So the content should be stored in the disk, so that whenever we switched on, the stored content is going to copy from the disk to a main memory. So the store instructions which would load the OS from the disk. So need to store these instructions so that they will not be lost after the power is turned off. So that concept, where this concept come, that particular memory, so that it is going to store as even the content is not going to erase even the power is turned off. That particular concept it is known as the ROM. So we need to store the instruction into a non-volatile memory. There it is going to come the concept, the key note, it is known as the non-volatile is nothing but it is going to retain only we can read the from the memory. So non-volatile memory is used in the same manner as the volatile memory. Separate writing process is needed to place the information in this memory. So the normal operation involves only reading of data. So this type of memory cell is called the read-only memory. This is a RAM. This is a ROM cell, which is made of a single transistor and the switch-like structure. So this is the bit line and the word line, as explained in the previous static RAM memory concept. The same it is working like, as word line is going to be switch on this transistor T. So depending on this, whenever it is going to have read 1, it is connected to ground. This line is connected to ground. Whenever read to 1, this line is connected to this P is not connected. This is acting like a not connected or the open switch. This is the logic 0 value is stored if the transistor is connected to the ground point P, otherwise 1 is stored. The bit line is connected through a resistor to power supply. To read the state of the cell, word line must be activated. So word line should activate this transistor so that it can read the content from the memory cell. So the transistor switch is closed and the voltage on the bit line drops to 0. If there is no connection to the ground, the bit line remains at high voltage, indicating as 1. So the sense circuit at the end of the bit line generates the proper output value. So the data are written into the ROM when manufactured. So read-only memory should be, data is going to be stored in the ROM while manufacturing this memory chip. So the read-only memory, which is have at one disadvantage, is once it has been written while manufactured, it cannot be erased. So if you want to erase the program stored in the ROM, then we go for the programmable read-only memory, that is PROM. So that the some ROMs design allow the data to be loaded by the user. So that providing the programmable PROM. Programmability is achieved by inserting a fuse point. Earlier in the figure, in the earlier video what I have shown, instead of P they are going to implement the fuse. So before it is programmed, the memory contains all zeros. So the user can insert once at the required locations by burning out the fuses at these locations using high current pulses. So the PROM provides the flexibility and convenience not available with the ROM. So this is economically attractive for storing and fixed programs and the data when high volumes of ROMs are produced. So the cost preparing the mask needed for storing a particular information pattern in the ROM makes them very expensive because it is being programmed while manufacturing. So it is quite expensive when only a small number are required. So we go for when is a large number of ROM is required. So then we go for PROM, provide a faster and considerably less expensive approach because they can be programmed directly by the user. So another memory, it is known as the erasable programmable read-only memory. Store data to be erased and new data can be loaded. So flexibility useful during the development of the phase of digital system. Erasable reprogrammable memory ROM. Ensures the required exposing a ROM to UV light. So read-only memory, the other type, it is electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. To erase the content of PROM, they have to be exposed to ultraviolet light. So physically removed from the circuit and EEPROMs or contents are stored and erased electrically. So another type, it is known as the flash memory, a similar approach of EEPROM that read the content of the single cell but write the content of entire block of cells. So the flash devices have a greater density, so high capacity and the low storage cost per bit, and the power consumption of flash memory is very low, making it attractive for use in the equipment that is battery driven. So single flash chips are not sufficiently large, so the large memory modules are implemented using the flash cards and flash drives. So this is what a simple memory hierarchy. So the fast access the data held processor register at the top of the main memory hierarchy. So relatively a small amount of memory that can be implemented on the processor chip, and this is called the processor cache. So two level of cache is available, level 1 and the level 2. Cache is on the processor, it is the level 1. Level 2 cache is between the main memory and the processor. So the next level is the main memory implemented as SIMs, so much larger but slower than the cache memory. So the next level is the magnetic disk, a huge amount of inexpensive storage, and the speed of the memory access is critical, and the idea is bring the instructions and data that will be used in the near future as close to the processor as possible. So that is the read-only memory. The both static and dynamic chips are volatile, and those are lose the stored information when it is power is turned off. When the logic 0, the transistor T is connected to the point B. Whenever it is logic 1, the transistor switch is open, the bit line remains at high voltage state. A sense circuit at the end of the bit line is generated the proper output value. So this is the figure which is depicting the PROM chip. So the types of ROMs are different types of ROM are PROM, EPROM, EEPROM and the flash memory. So as I discussed earlier, PROM is the programmable ROM. PROM allows the data to be loaded by the user. Programmability is achieved by inserting a fuse at a point P in the ROM cell. Now before ROM is programmed, the memory contains all zeros. The user can insert one at required location by burning out the fuse and using high current pulse. This process is irreversible. So what are the advantages? It provides the flexibility, it is a faster and it is less expensive because they can be programmed directly by the user. So EEPROM is the erasable reprogrammable ROM. So EEPROM allows the store the data to be erased and the new data to be loaded. You are able to see this is what the UV light is going to be exposed so that the content of the memory cell can be deleted. In the cell, connection to the ground is always made at P and a special transistor is used. So the transistor has the ability to function as the normal transistor or the or disabled transistor, that is always turn off. So transistor can be programmed to behave as a permanently open switch by injecting the charge into it. So ensure requires the dissipating the charges trapped in the transistor of memory cells. So this can be done by exposing the chip to a ultraviolet rays. So what are the advantages? It provides the flexibility during the development phase of the digital system. It is capable of retaining the stored information for longer time. So what is the disadvantage? So the chip must be physically removed from the circuit for reprogramming. The entire content need to be erased by UV rays. So EEPROM, electrically erasable ROM. So what is the advantage? It can be both programmed and erased electrically. It allows the erasing of all cell contents selectively. So what is the disadvantage? It requires a different voltage for erasing, writing and reading the stored data. So flash memory, in the EEPROM, it is possible to read and write the content of a single cell. In the flash device, it is possible to read the content of a single cell and write the entire content of a block. So prior writing, the previous content of the block should be erased. So example, so the MP3 player or flash memory stores the data that represents the sound. A single flash chip cannot provide the sufficient storage capacity for embedded system. So what are the advantages? The flash drives is a greater density which leads to a higher capacity and the low cost per bit, and it requires a single power supply voltage that consumes very less power. There are two methods in implementing the flash memory. One is the flash card, the other one is the flash drives. So what is the flash card? So this is the flash card in the image. So the one way of constructing the larger module is to mount a flash chip on a small card. Such a flash card have standard interface. The card is simply plugged into a conveniently accessible slot, and the memory size of the card can be 8, 32 or 64 megabytes. So example, a minute of music can be stored 1 megabyte of memory. Hence 64 megabyte flash card store an hour or hour of music. So next is the flash drives. So larger flash memory can be developed by replacing the hard disk drive. The flash drives are designed to fully emulate the hard disk. The flash drives are solid state electronic devices that have no movable parts. So what are the advantages? They have shorter seek and access time which results in a faster response. They have low power consumption, so they are attractive for battery driven application. They are insensitive to vibration. So what are the disadvantages? The disadvantages is the capacity of flash drive is less than the hard disk. That is it is greater than 1 GB, but it is less than the hard disk. So it leads the higher cost per bit. So it leads the higher cost per bit.